Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 12 coolest bikes that are actually terrible to ride. Number 12. Royal Enfield Continental GT. The Royal Enfield Continental GT looks like a dream from the 60s brought back to life. Its cafe racer styling, polished chrome, and classic tank shape make it one of the coolest bikes to show off at any local meet. On first glance, it feels like a perfect mix of nostalgia and simplicity, but once you start riding, the problems begin to show fast. It costs around $7,000, which might sound fair for a retro-styled bike, but the experience doesn't justify that tag once you ride it for a while. The Continental GT uses a 650cc parallel twin engine that makes decent power on paper, but it's not as smooth as riders expect for the price. The vibration starts kicking in after a few miles, and at highway speeds it gets uncomfortable quickly. The clutch is heavy, the gear shifts are clunky, and the overall refinement feels years behind other bikes in its price range. Even with its modest torque, the throttle response feels dull, especially when compared to Japanese cruisers that cost just a bit more. Many owners report that the bike starts losing its tightness after just 2 years of regular use. Spending nearly $7,000 on a motorcycle that begins to feel worn out that soon isn't a good deal for most American riders who expect long-term value. All in all, the Royal Enfield Continental GT may turn heads wherever it's parked, but the charm fades the moment you ride it for longer than half an hour. Number 11. Yamaha Bolt. The Yamaha Bolt grabs attention right away with its low-slung stance and simple bobber styling. It looks like a compact cruiser made for city rides and weekend runs, and with a price tag of around $8,500, it feels like a good deal on paper. But once you get past the looks, the experience isn't as great as expected. The Bolt's riding position is cramped for taller riders, and the seat feels hard after just half an hour. The bike may appear comfortable, but on real roads it quickly proves otherwise. It comes with a 942cc air-cooled V-twin engine that sounds good but feels lazy once you're out of the city. The torque is strong at low speeds, but it fades fast, and the engine starts to feel rough when pushed beyond its comfort zone. The gearbox is notchy, and the clutch pull is heavier than most modern cruisers in this range. Despite the weight, it doesn't feel planted on highways, and crosswinds can unsettle it easily. Riders expecting a smooth, refined ride will be disappointed, especially when compared to bikes from Honda or Kawasaki in the same price range. Maintenance is another weak spot. Parts aren't cheap, and the paint and chrome finishes don't hold up well after a couple of years. Even though the Bolt can last close to 40,000 miles with care, it often demands more attention and upkeep than it should. Overall, the Yamaha Bolt looks like a solid, fun cruiser from a distance, but once you live with it, the flaws become hard to ignore. Number 10. Harley-Davidson Street 500. The Harley-Davidson Street 500 was meant to be an affordable way for riders to enter the Harley world. Priced at around $7,000 when new, it promised the classic badge and cruiser feel without the heavy price tag. At first glance, the compact frame and dark styling seem appealing, but once you start riding, the flaws show up faster than expected. The Street 500 struggles to deliver the solid ride quality that most riders associate with Harley. It runs on a 494cc liquid-cooled V-twin engine that sounds decent but lacks punch. Power delivery is uneven, and throttle response feels soft, especially in city traffic. The gearbox feels clunky, and the engine heat is noticeable even in mild weather. On highways, the bike feels underpowered, and the light build makes it unstable at higher speeds. Many riders expect the low seat height to make it comfortable, but the suspension is stiff and every bump on the road transfers straight to your spine. Build quality doesn't live up to the Harley name either. The plastic panels fade over time, the welds look rough, and small parts start rattling after a few thousand miles. Service costs remain high despite the bike's entry-level positioning, and replacement parts can get expensive. The Harley-Davidson Street 500 may have looked like a smart way to own a Harley for less, but it turned out to be one of the company's biggest disappointments. Number 9. BMW R18. The BMW R18 looks like a piece of rolling art with its massive chrome finish, stretched design, and bold boxer engine. It's priced around $16,000 and it definitely looks like it costs that much. But once you start riding, the weight and awkward handling start to break the illusion fast. The bike weighs close to 900 pounds and every slow-speed turn reminds you of that. For a cruiser that's supposed to offer comfort and control, it feels more like a wrestling match. Under the tank sits an 1800cc air-cooled boxer twin, the biggest engine BMW has ever put in a motorcycle. It makes good torque, but the low-speed shake and engine jerk are exhausting. The power comes in strong but not smooth, and the bike's long wheelbase makes tight corners a real struggle. Even though the transmission is well built, the clunky gear changes and loud mechanical noise don't match what you'd expect from a machine this expensive. The heat from the engine also becomes unbearable in stop-and-go traffic. Maintenance and ownership costs are just as heavy as the bike itself. Routine service can run over $500, and even small replacement parts can cost a few hundred. The BMW R18 is a stunning motorcycle to look at, no question, but it's not built for real comfort or practicality. Number 8. Kawasaki W800. The Kawasaki W800 is a nod to the old British classics with its round headlight, wire-spoke wheels, and polished tank. It looks beautiful and carries a vintage charm that turns heads wherever it goes. Priced around $10,000, it promises a smooth, easy-going ride, but in real life it ends up being more frustrating than fun. Once the nostalgia fades, most riders realize it's a heavy bike that feels awkward in daily use, especially in traffic or tight turns. It runs on a 773cc air-cooled parallel twin engine that produces moderate power, but it lacks refinement. The throttle response is slow and the vibrations kick in early, especially above 60 miles per hour. The 5-speed gearbox feels old-fashioned and not very precise, while the clutch engagement point takes time to get used to. It's a bike that looks relaxed but demands constant correction while riding. At highway speeds, the mirrors blur and the front end starts to feel light, which doesn't inspire much confidence. With an average lifespan of around 40,000 miles before it starts showing major wear, the W800 doesn't offer long-term value for its $10,000 price. Overall, the Kawasaki W800 might draw attention with its timeless looks and classic build. But once you ride it, the charm fades fast, proving that a good-looking bike isn't always a good one to live with. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. The Harley-Davidson Iron 883 has long been seen as the gateway into the Harley lineup with its dark styling and minimalist attitude. It looks aggressive and compact, giving off that pure urban cruiser feel. Priced around $11,000, it feels like a solid entry into Harley ownership, but the riding experience doesn't hold up. The seat is low, the bars are narrow, and the suspension is stiff, which turns even short rides into a test of endurance. It's powered by an 883cc air-cooled V-twin engine that sounds mean but feels outdated on the road. Power delivery is sluggish and the engine vibrates heavily once you cross 60 miles per hour. The gearbox is rough and shifting feels like kicking a metal box instead of a smooth transition. Even though the bike has torque, it doesn't translate into comfort or control. The heat management is poor too, making city rides uncomfortable, especially in warmer states. After 20,000 miles, many riders report issues like loose bolts, rattles, and fading finishes on metal parts. The Harley-Davidson Iron 883 looks bold and iconic from every angle, but the ride tells a different story, reminding you that looks alone can't make up for comfort, refinement, or value. Number 6 is Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R is one of those bikes that looks like it should dominate the road. It's massive, muscular, and demands attention wherever it goes. Priced around $16,000, it seems built for riders who want raw power and presence. But the moment you ride it, the flaws begin to show. Its weight, size, and handling make it tough to manage, especially in city traffic. Slow-speed turns feel like a workout, and the long wheelbase makes it clumsy in tight spots. The M109R is powered by a 1783cc V-twin engine that produces a huge wave of torque. On paper, it sounds impressive, but in practice, the throttle feels abrupt and the clutch engagement is harsh. The engine shakes at idle and sends vibrations through the bars and pegs once you open the throttle. At highway speeds, it's stable but not comfortable, with constant wind buffeting and a riding posture that strains your back over time. After 25,000 miles, most owners report issues like clutch wear, paint fading, and minor electrical problems. While it can last up to 50,000 miles, it requires frequent attention and care to stay that way. Overall, the Suzuki Boulevard M109R looks powerful and sounds like a beast. But it's a bike that values muscle over comfort or practicality, leaving most riders exhausted rather than excited after every ride. Number 5. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is a monster on two wheels. It's one of the largest production motorcycles in the world and costs around $24,000. With its huge presence and aggressive styling, it looks like the ultimate power cruiser. But while it might impress anyone who sees it parked, riding it daily is a completely different story. The Rocket 3 feels oversized in every way, from the handlebar reach to the seat height, making low-speed handling a real challenge. Its heart is a massive 2005cc triple engine which produces enormous torque. The power delivery is shocking at first, but it quickly turns from exciting to overwhelming. Every twist of the throttle feels like too much, and managing that force in traffic is tiring. The weight, over 700 pounds, makes U-turns and parking lot moves stressful. Despite all its tech and electronic aids, the bike feels heavy and unpredictable when maneuvering through tight spaces. After around 30,000 miles, most owners report clutch wear, electrical issues, and high replacement costs for tires and brakes. It's a bike that demands deep pockets and constant care. Overall, the Triumph Rocket 3 is an engineering marvel on paper, but in real life, it's too heavy, too expensive, and too much work to enjoy. A motorcycle that proves power without comfort doesn't always make for a great ride. Number 4. BMW R nineT. The BMW R nineT is a beautiful blend of vintage styling and modern engineering. It looks clean, compact, and premium, carrying that unmistakable BMW presence. Priced around $16,000, it sits in the high-end naked bike category, but the experience doesn't quite match the price tag once you live with it. While it's fun on short weekend rides, it quickly becomes tiring in daily use due to its stiff suspension and aggressive riding stance. Underneath, it carries an 1170cc air-cooled boxer engine that sounds great but feels rougher than expected. The power delivery is uneven at low speeds, and the vibrations through the seat and bars make longer rides uncomfortable. The clutch is heavy, and in stop-and-go traffic it becomes a chore. At highway speeds, it's stable, but the lack of wind protection turns every long trip into a strain. Despite being marketed as a roadster for all kinds of riding, it feels happiest only on smooth backroads for short bursts. Owning an R nineT is also far from cheap. Regular servicing can cost $600 per visit, and replacement tires or parts cost significantly more than those of Japanese rivals. The BMW R nineT might win you over with its looks and badge, but the ride is too harsh, the comfort too limited, and the costs too high, making it a stylish motorcycle that's far more impressive to look at than to actually ride. Number 3. Yamaha VMAX. The Yamaha VMAX is one of the most intimidating motorcycles ever built. Its muscular design, fat tires, and exposed engine make it look like a drag racer meant for the streets. Priced around $17,000, it promises unmatched power, but that power comes with big compromises. The VMAX weighs over 680 pounds, and handling that weight in traffic or slow corners is a challenge even for experienced riders. It's a bike that feels heavy the moment you lift it off the stand. It runs on a 1680cc V4 engine that produces massive horsepower. On paper, it's thrilling, but on the road, the power delivery is too sudden, making it hard to control without constant focus. The throttle is twitchy, and once you open it, the bike surges forward with brute force that can catch riders off guard. Despite all that power, fuel economy is poor and comfort is nearly non-existent. After around 25,000 miles, common problems include clutch wear and electrical issues due to the bike's heat output. Overall, The Yamaha V-Max is a powerhouse that delivers raw excitement but sacrifices comfort, control, and practicality. A motorcycle that's thrilling for a few minutes yet exhausting to live with every day. Number 2. Indian Scout Bobber. The Indian Scout Bobber has the right look, low stance, chunky tires, blacked out styling, and a muscular presence that fits perfectly with modern cruiser trends. Priced around $13,000, it feels like a solid middleweight option for riders who want that stripped-down, aggressive design. But when you ride it, the style quickly turns into struggle. The seating position is cramped, the foot pegs sit too far forward, and the low bars put pressure on your wrists, making long rides painful. It runs on a 1,133cc liquid-cooled V-twin engine that makes good power, but it's far from smooth. The throttle feels jerky in slow traffic, and the heat from the engine cooks your legs on warm days. The suspension has minimal travel, which means every bump on the road hits you straight in the spine. Even though the Scout Bobber looks compact, it weighs over 550 pounds, and that weight shows up when making slow turns or parking. It feels more like a showpiece than a real everyday motorcycle. After 20,000 miles, many owners report fading paint, rust on metal parts, and rattling from the exhaust brackets. Overall, the Indian Scout Bobber is a bike that wins the parking lot but loses the highway. A motorcycle that looks bold and powerful, but rides with more pain than pleasure. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S is one of the most striking bikes in the company's lineup. Its short frame, thick tires, and modern design make it stand out instantly. With a price tag of around $16,000, it looks like a perfect blend of heritage and performance. But the ride tells another story. The seating position is awkward, with low bars and forward controls that strain your arms and back over time. It looks compact and athletic, yet it feels unbalanced and uncomfortable once you're on it. It's powered by a 1252cc Revolution Max engine that delivers strong power, but it doesn't translate into a smooth ride. The throttle is snappy and the torque kicks in too suddenly, which makes it hard to handle in traffic. The suspension setup is stiff and every bump on the road hits hard. The low ground clearance also causes frequent scrapes on uneven roads. Upkeep costs add more frustration. Routine service visits easily run above $600, and replacement parts come at a premium. After about 25,000 miles, riders often face issues with the clutch, exhaust sensors, and electronics. It's a bike that looks ready for long rides but feels exhausting after just a short one. Overall, the Harley-Davidson Sportster S proves that bold styling and big power don't always equal a great motorcycle, offering more frustration than fun once the first thrill wears off. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.